own faculty member of our institute, Gyanjyoti Institute of Management and Technology, Mohali, Mr. Gurdeepak Singh. And we are here with another very interesting topic, which is very relevant in current situation, and many of us are very much concerned about this topic. So not speaking much about the topic, I would request our respected Gurdeepak Singh sir to please continue with today's session, and I hope it will be a very worthwhile session for every one of us. Gurdeepak sir, please, you can start.
Thank you, Harish ji. I hope I am audible to all, and if there is anything you can raise hand. That means you can use your icon and I'll come to know, and I'll increase my voice. So firstly, good morning to all of you. And firstly, I would like to thank GJMT for starting this Discovered series for all of you. And I think the team behind this, like Mr. Uma, Dr. Taran, Dr. Rakhi, Archil, they are doing a great job, because it is not a one-man show. The entire team is trying to give you something which is good for you during these very pressing times. So I was asked by Harish to firstly introduce myself. Now, since when I look at you, the names which are appearing on the screen, I can see many of you are studying, many of you are going to graduate. So I would like to give my introduction in a way so that it is helpful to you. My background is my basic degrees in engineering, and I did my MBA in finance, and my master's is in computer science. With the changing times, I had been trying to upskill, not only upskill, but reskill myself, which you'll come to know as during the presentation. I'll be talking about upskilling and reskilling a lot. In terms of my work life, I started with the construction sector, moved into the finance sector, then in the IT sector, and finally into the education sector. And in between, I was in a little bit of R&D with the government scientific community. So that is my journey. I have worked in India and abroad, so God has been very kind to give me those opportunities to work with different people, different companies, in different working spaces. Now, when I look at who is my audience, what I presume is many of you are either studying in the college and you are in the final semester, after which you are going to join the workplace. Many of you are going to enter the college life, maybe after +2. And many of you might be going into your post-graduation phase, where you are going to acquire more higher education to be fit for the industry for your jobs. So I would like to address through my presentation all the people who are listening to me. So I made a PowerPoint presentation for you. So I'll start from there. But before I start, I would like to put something in context. You know, this particular phase through which we all are going is very uncertain. And it has come all of a sudden without giving any opportunity to think about it. I would take this as and present to you as an opportunity, as a catalyst for change. And if we talk about our future in terms of what sort of jobs we should expect, what we should be doing now to fit into the scenario which is going to come. Before I start that discussion, let me talk about COVID-19 a little bit. Where we stand today is, till we don't get any vaccine, we won't be able to start the pre-pandemic phase again, because vaccine is very much important. Now that vaccine may come maybe in 9 months' time, which is the minimum period, which all the top people are saying, or it may take 2 to 3 years. So the people who are going to join the workforce immediately within the next, say, 6 months, have to really gear up to face this challenge, which is very uncertain. So I'll be talking about that in detail. And then the people who are entering into the higher education to acquire those skills and may enter the workforce after maybe 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year down the line. For those people, what all things they should expect in times to come. So I'll be presenting to you two scenarios. One is which is short term and one which is long term. So if you allow me, I would like to share the screen, the presentation with you and start from there. So whenever I see any raised hands, so I can switch to you, and maybe towards the end we can take up the questions. But in between, if you are finding any problem in terms of my voice, so you can raise the hand and I can correct it. To start with my presentation, I'm going to talk about jobs in post-COVID era. Whereas what I said makes sense that we don't know when that post-COVID era will come. So for how long we have to be in this COVID era. So having said that, I'll be talking about both the scenarios. Now the bigger question I would like to answer here, if I'm in your place, I would like to answer, will I be the winner in the pandemic times and the post-pandemic times? So that is the question we need to answer at the end of the view, the scenario, and you stand today for the coming future. As I said earlier, COVID-19, I take as something which is a catalyst of change. So this is a paradigm shift through which we have to go through, not only us, the entire industry. So all the countries globally are looking at this as if they have to change, they have to transform. So my presentation is divided in 4 parts. Number 1, I would like to talk here about the gig economy. Most of you must be familiar with gig economy. So still I'll explain what I mean by gig economy. And second, how COVID has affected the gig economy. That will be the first part of my presentation. The second part, I'll be talking about what are the 3 factors which all companies, all industries across the globe have to look at in order to transform themselves to face the challenge of this COVID. So what are those 3 factors which, if the companies adopt, they will survive, they will grow, otherwise they will vanish from the scene. The third part of the presentation is for all of you, those who are going to join the workplace immediately and those down the line, what sort of jobs you should expect in the coming times. And number 4, then you need to answer this yourself individually. Will you be the winner in this pressing time? So let me take one by one all the 4 parts of what I have just discussed. So when we talk about the gig economy, what is gig economy? To put it in a simple words, I would say gig economy is which we call as independent contract. So we all have seen the construction work, the marriages happening in our families. What happens there is no single party which is doing the work for you. So you give contracts to different vendors and they come and execute their task in which they are proficient. And you pay for the part which you have assigned to them. They are not on permanent roles. It is not someone who comes to your house on a monthly basis and work for you, or the people who are employed by the company as a permanent employee whose security, job security is there with the employer and they cannot fire that permanent employee from the company. So the gig economy has been growing in a big way before this COVID. So just to emphasize again, when we talk about the gig work, the gig economy, it is you act as independent contractor. And these are short-term projects which are assigned to you. Here, I would like to talk more about two types of gig economies in terms of what sort of work you have under gig economy. It has been classified under two categories. One is known as crowded work. Crowded work, the basic meaning of that is that you do your work from any place. You can do it remotely. This is like digital marketing, content writing, medical transcription. All this comes under crowded work. The second category of work is under gig economy, on-demand work. You all know about Uber, Ola. So this is on-demand work. That is, in a particular location, physically, you have to perform that task which has been assigned to you. This is the food delivery. This is Amazons of the world. This is Flipkarts. So e-commerce. So in a way that comes under on-demand work. So these are two categories. So this is independent contractor versus the permanent employee. So the gig economy has been growing very, very fast. Now the next part, after understanding what is gig economy, I would like to talk about how COVID has affected the gig economy. Rather than going into very minute details, I would like to talk about the impact of COVID on gig economy in broad three parameters. These parameters are, number one is, which is a good thing which has happened because of COVID. And as I said, it has been a catalyst for gig economy. It has made the playing field leveled between the permanent employees or the permanent contractor and the independent contractor. Why? It has made the companies think twice before employing a permanent employee. So earlier it was 40:60 ratio, which is a global ratio. When I say 40:60, that means companies were having a mix of gig workers and permanent workers. So it used to be 60% permanent workers and 40% gig workers. Now, what has happened after COVID, companies, in order to reduce their expenditure and in order to reduce their liability, they are keen to employ more and more gig workers. And this started in the developed countries, and now in the developing countries like India, this is going up. So there is a surge in gig economy because of COVID. So the first factor is it has made the playing field level between the permanent worker and the gig worker. On the same lines, you had seen in India, there was a huge gap between the regular studies and the online distance education. Now that gap is reducing and is going to reduce because of COVID. So that is where I say it has made the playing field leveled. The second part, which was a question mark before COVID, that was the social security and health benefits of the gig workers. Since the gig workers are not on the rolls of the company, they don't get all the benefits of permanent employees. Like if I talk of developed economies or developing economies or countries where we live like India, so no employee benefits like leaves, scheduled leaves, sick leaves, any provident fund, all these benefits which are given to the permanent employees were not given to the gig employees or the independent contractors. And they cannot take any leave. They are on the rules. They are not on the rules of the company. So this was a big issue. And many countries said that they should be given social security because they are working 24 by 7 for the company. So that issue is still unresolved. But now with COVID, the companies, as I said earlier, they don't want to take the liability of permanent employees. So this issue has taken a back seat because of COVID. This is the second impact of COVID on the gig economy. The third good thing which has happened to gig economy because of COVID is digitization and contactless services. If you look at when the lockdown happened, which were the companies who were not affected, whose businesses started immediately because the government did not have that infrastructure, that supply chain through which they can reach the masses. If we talk of India, which is very densely populated, so these were the companies like the supply chain companies which were already working. So they were approached by the governments to build that local supply chains to deliver the essentials to the people. And number two is you have seen the digital payment platform in India. So everything has been digitized. And gig economy breathes on digital platform and on contactless services. So as a result, what has happened, the gig economy is going to surge more and more, increase its reach in all countries, in all workplaces in a big, big way. With that background, what I would like to say here is gig economy is going to be the future of work. To give you some stats to elaborate on what I said earlier, you are the millennials. 1 out of 3 millennials are freelancers. Can you believe it? 1 out of 3 millennials are independent contractors. 34% of the workforce in the world, they have a second job. That means 34% of the global workforce, they are not in one job, they have multiple jobs. And as per some studies, which has been done by HBR, 80% of the global workforce by 2030 will be of freelancers, will be of independent contractors because of the 3 reasons which I mentioned, which COVID has brought. So this is the first part of my presentation where we talked about the gig economy, what it is, how COVID-19 has affected the gig economy, and what is the future of gig economy. Now I proceed to the second part of my presentation, where I would like to discuss the 3 factors of transformation post-COVID and during the COVID era, which all big companies need to adopt in order to survive and fight against this COVID times. And why we are going through this unit of the presentation, because we need to understand what sort of jobs we should expect which are going to come and how the industry, the workplace is reacting to the COVID situation. The 3 factors are, number one is agility. When we talk about agility, when this COVID situation started, all of you will understand what I'm trying to say here. All of you immediately try to download all the apps, try to have the best smartphones which are made available to you, and try to have those apps. One of the apps which everyone loaded in the world was Zoom, on which we are now interacting. So this is the agility, how agile you are in terms of planning and execution. The companies who are agile, who are very aggressive in moving forward, trying to take care of the hurdles in the best possible way and in the fastest mode, and make the change, the transformation in the company with the changing times. The earlier they do it, the better it is for them to survive. Like in Shimla, what is happening is the travel and tourism industry, I'll talk in detail about that, how they are coping up. Or some people are agile and they can anticipate what is coming and they can do that, whereas others which have not been able to do that, you will see within the next 3 months, their name will not be there in the market. So first is the agility, and that holds true not only for the companies, for the industry, but also for us as graduates, as the work seekers. But I'm talking more here of the companies, of the industry. Second is the digital transformation. The economies of the world have realized if they don't have the digital infrastructure. Now, what is happening is you have a good smartphone at home, but you don't have a good. Now, what is happening in J&K? Uh, they are lagging behind, not because they don't have sharp minds, the people are not agile, the companies are not agile, but the infrastructure is giving them 2G connectivity. So the digital transformation within the company, within the economies, is of prime importance. How fast you can build that infrastructure, how fast the companies can move from the mechanical, the manual processes to the digital processes. So that transformation they have to adopt. So this is one of the key factors, which is the second key factor. And the third one is work from home culture. Now, when we talk about work from home culture, this is going to be the trend. This is going to be the new norm, which we all are experiencing, which we all are doing. So the industry has to take that as one of the factors, and they have to give it the same importance which they had been giving to their workspace, work culture. And when we talk about work from home culture, what here I'm talking from the company, from the workplace point of view, from the industry point of view is there is a term which we call stop the impact of coronavirus, STOP, stop. Now this stop is the abbreviated form of how can you stop COVID to affect your company by work from home culture. Is S stands for social distancing. So with work from home, you can put social distancing in place, which is very much required in COVID era. Second is the travel time. You can stop or totally eliminate the travel time, the travel that stands from T of stop. The third is the occupancy. When we talk about the occupancy, that means the office space. Companies are going to save huge money. You talk of the Googles of today, you talk of the Infosys of today, you talk of the TCS, the Wipros, the Sun Pharmas. So they are paying a lot of rent for the office space in the most commercial places of the world. So they are going to stop that occupancy, that office space. Now the magnitude of that office space, the occupancy will be different for different industries. And the fourth is P under stop. P stands for pollution. So climate change, all are worried, and you had seen how you could see the hills from your places if you are living in North India, but you can see the sky, the stars, so you can put a stop to pollution by adopting work from home. So this is going to be the new norm. So to end this part of the presentation about three factors of transformation, I would say agility, digital transformation, and work from home culture is going to be the new norm for the industries for the transformation which they want in order to kick COVID out of their effect. Now, the third part is what sort of jobs we should expect in post-COVID. Everyone is worried. I would like to set a background to this before I show you that what are the positions, what are the jobs which are going to come. Firstly, I would like to say there is a big debate going on, especially in India, that there will be a huge unemployment. Now, there are different sectors. Now, when we talk about essential services sector, essential services sector like the healthcare, like the day-to-day essential services, maybe if you are working somewhere, it is the sports staff. If you are at home, all the services like the public health, like the water supply, electricity, these are all essential services. They are not going to stop. They cannot stop. So these positions will be there irrespective of any situation. And we always salute the frontline warriors, which we call, who are standing there to fight against COVID to provide those essential services. So they are going to stay there. Number two, we talk about manufacturing. Yes, there will be a huge impact on manufacturing of any kind. But it will take few years for that manufacturing to come back. Manufacturing is going to stay. The jobs are going to come, not in the near future, but in the medium and in the long term. Manufacturing cannot stop. Now, how manufacturing is going to change would be that more automation in manufacturing will take place. That means the people with the existing skills need retraining. Now, there are certain sectors you will be surprised to know they are on a surge. Now, here I would also like to talk about three things. Number one is the role of the government. We had been addicted to the market-driven economy. That is going to change a little bit. The role of government is going to be big now. Now the government is going to decide the supply chains of the world. So that is what COVID has done. So government is going to put the doors at the borders for people to come in or go out, not only for particular regions, but across the continent and within the continent and within the countries. So government has a big role to play in terms of the supply chains. So that is a big thing. And also putting certain regulations in place in not the license Raj. So it is not going to be the same which we were seeing before globalization in India. Not that scenario, but the role of the government, especially in public health, in terms of the supply chains, will increase manifold. The second, what I expect is that we are going to go into 5G phase very fast. We are in 4G. We will move into 5G because that is the backbone. That is going to be the lifeline of everyone. And luckily in India, most of us, I would say 80% of us are on 4G and we have a good infrastructure. So very soon, and here again, the government has to play a big role, we'll be on 5G. And number three, the digital divide is going to reduce. The digital divide is going to reduce. So these are the three things which are going to impact the jobs that you are going to see in the future. Now, having said that, I would like to talk about a small company, Zoom. I don't think I heard about this company before this pandemic. Most of you might be knowing about it, but almost 70% of the world didn't know that Zoom exists. But today, everyone know that Zoom is there and what is Zoom. And the big players, Zoom is not a big player. When you talk of Microsoft, Google, all these big players, they have this facility. But Zoom has really done so well. And I think they never themselves expected this to happen. So such companies, IT, ITES, OTT platforms, they are going to go in a very positive trend. Now I would like to talk about another fashion chain, a big fashion chain in North America, Boohoo. Now Boohoo, their sales went to zero all of a sudden. And most of the companies in the world had been seeing that. What Boohoo did, very interesting for all of us to understand. They started, and it was a big retail chain in fashion, and the sales was very high, and especially the millennials, the youngsters were buying their products. They started making beautiful tops, the t-shirts, ladies, gents, for youngsters, shirts, formal shirts for Zoom sessions. And they were advertising that you must have these tops while you are on the Zoom platform. And their pricing was such that you can buy 7 for 7 days of your Zoom sessions. And the sales, you will not expect, you will not believe it, that the sales, weekly sales were higher than for all the products which they were selling pre-COVID times. So this is what I am saying, agility, which I talked in my last unit, agility. So this company was agile and was able to transform immediately, keeping in view the challenge which they were facing. Having said that, you look at OTT platforms, which you are using every day. So there is a huge surge. So these companies, this part of the industry is in a boom. You talk about Dell, they have not been affected because all their processes were digitized before pre-COVID. So all the IT companies, ITS companies, it's a boom time for them. Financial sector because of the lending which is going to happen. So another big and is FMCG. Apart from that, if we talk of the digital payments, if we talk of cloud computing, if we talk of content, healthcare, cybersecurity, e-commerce, online education, insurance, a big sector, logistics, a big sector, robotics, big sector. So the jobs will be tremendous. The only thing is, are we geared up to take up those roles, those jobs? Now, before I give you any suggestions to get those jobs, what you can do, I would like to show 3 parts under this unit that what to expect in terms of jobs. So the first part of our expectations we should know is, you all should know that there will be more opportunity, greater opportunity for women in WFH, work from home scenario. Companies are going to target women more because they know they can balance this very well, unlike the other gender. Second is, there will be more employment in smaller towns, which is a good thing. Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 even, which are not even cities. So there will be more employment generation because when I was talking about Shimla, now what is happening is in the travel, tourism and hospitality industry. If I talk about the restaurants, what is happening? What is now just starting is delivery and pickup has become the most important process for restaurants. It is not the sitting, it is not the decor, it is the quality of food and pick and drop. That is the delivery and pickup. And they are short of kitchens now. So the remote kitchens are coming up rather than opening up new restaurants. What you are going to see in the near future, remote kitchens in the restaurant business. So when we talk about that, just in the areas where tourism, hospitality industry, they are trying to come up with new innovative ways how they can enhance their business. That is the agility I'm talking. Similarly, the jobs will be going to come because your supply chains are going to shrink now. The global supply chains will become regional supply chains. So as a result, the more employment will be coming to the smaller towns. And number three, there will be multiple jobs. Now the employers are going to accept and they will be happy because they may not be able to give you full-time employment and permanent employment. And they will prefer that they can give small independent projects to you. So what that means to you as a job seeker, there will be multiple jobs which you need to look at. The fourth part is the jobs will become more flexible. So if you are working in a particular domain, it is not that that domain is going to be there for a long period of time. And you and the employer should not expect that this is the only domain I am proficient in and I should be delivering. And also, the most important part is the employer will give you the flexibility in your job in terms of how you do it. So there are two parts of it. One is the technical aspect of the job, and second is the delivery aspect of the job. So that flexibility in the delivery will be given to you. So that flexibility will be more and more as we move into post-COVID scenario. And the last very important aspect we need to understand is the service at home jobs. Now, today, when you look at this is happening in all the homes. So if I want to go to a parlor or someone from my house would like to go to a beauty parlor. So what is happening? We are reluctant. What we want is that service should be delivered at home. Within the locality, within the vicinity where I live, if I find those services, I'll be more happy. So those sort of jobs for any company are going to be, so the jobs will be distributed evenly now, and it will not be in certain big cities only. So the concentration of jobs is going to go away. So these are the 5 things we should expect. I repeat, one is greater opportunity for women because work from home culture is one of the factors of transformation which we discussed. Second is the employment in smaller towns because of the shrinking supply chains. Number 3, the multiple jobs. Number 4, the flexible jobs. And number 5, service at home jobs. The second aspect in terms of the expectation which we should have now is the workspace. Now the companies are going to have a workspace which we call in COVID and post-COVID era as rhythmic workspaces. Now, you are familiar with this, but I'll explain the four spaces which they are going to create, the four spaces which every company is going to create within their workspace. And four elements are important in order to, when we talk about the flexible jobs, in order to give the leverage to the employees to deliver in shortest and the least expensive way, they have to provide a rhythmic workspace. The first element of rhythmic workspace is a team space. So when we talked about the gig economy, we talked about the crowded work. So they need to give you a team space where you can collaborate with teams. Now this can be physical, this can be virtual. But if we talk of physical space, this is like your office. When you go to the office, you have a team you have to work with, and there is a workspace, physical workspace, which is given to you, and that workspace becomes your team space. The second is me space. That means independent space, where for the creative people, for the people who need to work strategically, who need to work or think sometimes on their own, that is the me space. So that rhythmic workspace must have a space for the employee to be oneself, to be with oneself. The third part is the open space. As you see today, you have a cafeteria, you have a place where you can sit, you have a common room, you have a cafe, you have a sitting area. So that is the open space, which is very informal. So they have to create that, because the mental health is going to be a big thing. Public health is one for the government. Second is the mental health, which has to be provided by the employer, small or big, regional or global. So the open space is the third one. And fourth is the virtual space. So when I want to work from home, so that is my virtual space. I can work remotely from anywhere. So that space, that infrastructure. Now the team which is working on this presentation, so that I can reach all of you who are listening to me, who are speaking to me, they are providing me this virtual space. So the companies have to provide that. So there is a term you might have heard is BYOD, BYOD, BYOD they call it. That is bring your own device, bring your own device. So these were big companies which were doing it. So if we talk of Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Google, these were the big companies who were using BIOD, bring your own device. Now, small companies, even the companies where 10 employees are working, are going to promote this culture. So they have to provide that virtual space, and along with that virtual space, that infrastructure which is required for their employees or the contract independent contractors to work, which is work from home or any remote location. So we call this as a rhythmic workspace. So we have to be ready for that. Now the question is, what as a job seeker I need to do? What I should expect, how I should gear up in order to fit myself in the scenario which we discussed, whether that scenario is the rhythmic workspace, whether that is the multiple jobs, the flexible job scenario, or service at home jobs. So the first thing I would recommend, I would suggest, and I would advise each one of you to be part of gig economy. Don't think of a secured permanent job in times to come. They are going to reduce as we progress. So become a part of gig economy. Most of you who had been doing their internships, they understand how hard, if you are not geared up, if you don't have the required skills to get virtual internships. to get these jobs, because you have to come to that platform where you can become the part of the gig economy. So I would say the economy which is going to grow, which has been growing and which has been growing, 80% of the workforce is going to be on the gig economy. So let us be part of that. Let us start working, taking jobs in gig economy. I'll talk in a little bit more detail in the next slide what you can do to be part of gig economy. Number two is, today we talk about data. I think data, you cannot imagine how fast and what is the magnitude of data which is moving around us. And that data today is the only thing which has the prime importance in this world. Everything has become data. With the digitization, so everything is data. Everything is 0 and 1. Whether you are from IT background or not, digitization is there, is going to stay, and is going to increase with every second as we move ahead. Where you stand in terms of the data literacy. So data analytics, the data engineers, the data scientists, there is a huge demand. And if you don't want, if your background is not IT, if your background is IT, think of this. If your background is not IT, still you need to understand business analytics. Business analytics is the crux today. You need the basic knowledge so that your digital competency is huge on the social media. The third part is, these are on the rise with each passing day: cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning. If we talk about cybersecurity, blockchain, gaming industry. So these are on a rise. And with the COVID situation, it has gone fourfold, 4 times this has increased. So a lot of jobs are there already. They are going to increase manyfold. And one of the things in the Indian context, especially in North India, you are going to see big automation in agriculture. Now, when I say agriculture, I know your background may not be in agriculture, but all the allied industry is going to come into agriculture. That is the future. Because every day you go to a doctor once a month, like me, once in 5 years. Many of you has not seen a doctor maybe till now. But you see a doctor 4 times a day. And that doctor is the farmer because you eat 4 times a day. So farming, agriculture, the automation in that sector is going to be go in a big surge. So having said that, so job scenario is not bad. But one statement I would like to give here, there will not be any unemployment, there will be underemployment. I repeat, there will not be any unemployment, but there will be underemployment. And the answer to underemployment is multiple jobs, flexible jobs, being part of gig economy. So with that, I move to the last part of my presentation, which is where you stand. You now need to answer this question, will you be the winner? Now, apart from all the stuff which I have discussed, what to expect and how to be part of that scenario in the short run and in the long run, you need to answer because you know where you stand. Will you be the winner in the coming times, or you have to struggle, or you have to take long time to become part of that? Now, before I show you, yes, you can be the winner if, what is that if? Before I show you that, I would like to tell you one thing. Now, what is happening? I was talking to few of the companies and few of the vendors, and even our vendor who is doing the social media campaigns for us, he was saying, sir, there is a huge surge in second-hand laptops, in the pads, especially the iPads from Apple, the smart iPhones. All of you might be having smart iPhones, but how many of you are having very good, rugged, latest laptops? Because if you have to work from home, you need very good connectivity, a very good device. So that becomes your infrastructure. Those become your resources. So people are not buying fashion products, anything which is not essential, because now your broadband, your data pack has become an essential. So the first thing I request all of you to be part of the gig economy, you must upgrade your infrastructure at home, because that is your connect with the world, with the industry from now on. Because otherwise you are going to lose the connectivity with the employer, with your clients, with your customers. If you want to start your own work, I'll talk about that also. So I come back, will I be the winner? Yes, only if four things I say apart from what I said earlier. If you have high EI, emotional intelligence, your mental health has to be very sound. And along with that, you should have very high emotional intelligence, which you can build. And thanks to the team, especially Mr. Harish Premi and all the team members who have made this Discover series for you, where we are covering all aspects, whether it is your mental health, whether it is how you can build your hobbies into a profession. So your emotional intelligence, your EQ matters a lot in times to come. Second is, we all have this habit of benchmarking with the past. We all have. So if you want to be a good job seeker and you want to be part of the coming economy, coming workspace, you need to stop benchmarking the past. Very, very important. Third is, please keep your ego in the refrigerator. Let it cool down there and then take it out, because by the time you open the refrigerator, that ego will not be there. Please keep your ego in the refrigerator. And I see a lot of people when they are looking for a job, they are very fussy. They have high egos. Please forget in times to come that with that ego, I can find a good job. Please. And number four is, please don't put yourself in a silo. What I mean by silo, if my background is IT and I've been asked to do something different, if I'm in networking, if my background is marketing and I'm being offered something different, and I'm in the gig economy doing something different, please don't put yourself in silo that I want something this only. As I said, flexibility in jobs, multiple job scenario. That is the scenario you should do. So don't put yourself in a silo from which you cannot come out, because the times are going to be tough. So go for multiple jobs and you will find one job which is relating to your silo, but don't make your silo so big that you cannot come out of that silo, because then you will not be able to join the workforce. And the most important mantra, which I would like which I was given by my mentors when I entered the industry. As you have seen, my varied background, and I've been following this mantra from day one. And I can quote my personal example. If I'm surviving today, it is because of this mantra. And that mantra is upskilling and reskilling all the time. And this is becoming more and more relevant in the current times, in the pandemic times, and the post COVID times. Upskilling and reskilling. Retraining is the mantra which every company is giving to the existing employees, and they are trying that all the people. That is why the online courses. You will be surprised to know that Coursera is an online training platform where they put the courses for the people to reskill and upskill. They had around 3,750 courses made in 15 days, which they offered free of cost to all the people in the world for this pandemic time. And you'll be surprised to know 65% of these courses have been taken by the employees who were in lockdown. So upskilling and reskilling. If you look at my background, I want to correlate my introduction, which I gave. My background, my basic education is in engineering. I did my MBA in finance, and my master's MTech is in computer science. And I moved from one industry to the other, and today I'm into education. And I had followed this mantra of upskilling and reskilling from day one. And I'm happy today in this changing times, I can still survive, not only survive, I can grow with those credentials. On these lines, I'm sorry, but because the time allocated to me was 50 minutes and 10 minutes was for question and answer session. I stop here. I've taken exactly 57 minutes. So that is all I have to say. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'll request the team, if I have any questions from anyone, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very informative session. Participants, if you have any question, you can raise your hand. We will unmute you and you can ask the question. Uh, yes, Sukriti, you can ask the question now. Sukriti, I have unmuted your mic. You can ask the question from sir now.
Is it? Hello?
Yes, Sukriti, we can hear you. You can ask the question from sir now.
Yes,
Okay.
Sukriti, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm
Good
very much thankful for the session. So,
afternoon.
sir, as we have discussed earlier also regarding the specialization thing, and I have successfully found that I need to pursue my career into business analytics. And while I have surfed over the internet, that business analytics is more of there's a requirement of an engineering background, and there's a requirement of various languages, programming languages to be known if you want to pursue well into that field. And data science also comes along with this thing. So what I was thinking, and what I was surfing through the internet is to go for learning about data science and go for learning about various languages. But since I don't have a background of that, because I have come along with a BCom background and that media background and now MBA also, So would that be possible for me to go for these programming languages to learn now?
Okay. Firstly, thank you very much for your question. Really appreciate that you liked the presentation and you have picked one clue from there about business analytics. Just to put the things in perspective, now one of the things which has happened and is going to happen in a big way, there are no core prerequisites for anything. That COVID scenario has brought that. So what you said that you need engineering background. So I'm talking in general first, that you should have this background in order to do this thing. So that is gone now. Now, that is number one. Number two, you talked about business analytics, that you need to know the languages, you need to know that. So when we talk about business analytics, it is not about that. It is the application of the tools, how you analyze the data. Now there is an extent, the depth to which you can go into, which you are talking about, whether I would like to become a data scientist, whether I would like to become a data engineer. The answer is no. I want to be a business analyst. Apart from the domain, for example, my domain is HR. If you are from MBA, if my domain is HR, my domain is operations, my domain is marketing, or it can be any domain. So the business analytics is going to give you the tools and the skills how you can analyze the data to be used for your domain. Like if we talk today, everyone uses Google. Now, in order to do Google Analytics, I don't need any background of engineering or IT. All I need to know is some basics of business, the digital platform, and how it operates, and what are the tools through which I can analyze that data. Until I don't know those tools and I have not worked on those tools, I won't be able to do the business analysis. And that is where I'm saying reskilling. Reskilling you don't need, but what you need is upskilling. So along with your domain, if you are taking business analytics, now what you have asked me, if you want a job in business analytics, I agree with you. If you want to go to the core of that and take that as a domain, then you need to go inside and learn those languages and become a data scientist, data engineer. But I think being, if I understand correctly, you are MBA student and you would like to take a domain and use business analytics, because business analytics is a domain in every company now, because without this analysis, especially in the tough times through which we are going through, we cannot fight the hard times. So rather than finding a job as a data scientist, for example, I would like to pick my domain and use business analytics as the second domain in which I want to specialize and take both the domains together. And later on, if I feel that I want to dig deep into that, I can learn languages. Even for that, there are no prerequisites. I hope I have answered your question, Sukriti.
Any other participant who want to ask question from sir?
So Dr. Rakhi, shall
Yes.
we wait?
I think then there are no more questions from the participants. No one has raised the hand yet.
Okay.
So, sir, shall we end this now?
Yeah,
No.
I would like to thank you, Dr. Rakhi, and all the team members for providing this support and making me speak to the people who wanted to listen to me. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for the patient listening. I don't know whether you were patiently listening because I can't be there. So this is another advantage of the virtual workspace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.